Hello everyone. Welcome back to the next part of this chapter. We were continuing with this chapter, improvement in food resources. Actually, we have seen about intro of crop production, how we can develop the quality, the quantity, actually the production of crop. We have seen different types of agriculture revolutions in India, in which we have seen how the scientific approach actually helped to increase the production of grains in the country. Okay, so in last class we have discussed about some cropping pattern in Kharif and Rabi. From today we'll start about the improvement in yields. Okay, this is what that how the scientific approaches are adopted in India to obtain the high yield from our agriculture farm. So this is we have to continue and we have to see through this, because in India we have two types of crop we are practicing, that is called the Kharif crop, where we have seen the duration of this crop. In Rabi crop we have seen about it takes place during the winter season. So various types of crops we are practicing whole year. uh, we have seen the differences between the Kharif crop and Rabi crop. Okay, so in this class, today's video we'll see about some of the scientific approaches. So they to increase the variety of, to increase the yield. Okay, we need to see about three practices, that is the crop production management, how the crop production management is useful. Okay, crop variety improvement and crop protection. So one by one here I want to brief you from here in this slides only. Crop production management means how to increase the number of crop, how to increase the amount of crop day to day. Okay, so this is we have to see from this that how to increase the number of crops, quantity of crops. Okay, after this how to improve the variety improvement. This is very important. And why this is important? Because to increase the variety, to change the variety, we need various factors. Suppose we want a good quality of maize, we want big seeds of maize, we want number of seeds in maize should be increased. Okay, we need good quality of rice. Okay, the length of the rice should be increased. By this we need those crops which needs very less amount of water. So like this, these are some variety improvements, and we have been successful also by making various types of crops. Okay, so this is called the variety improvement. After that, crop protection management. This is also important because we need to protect our crop on field as well as on off field. On field means on the field. On the field, we have to protect from the insects, pests, or different pathogens which easily destroys our crop on the field. Okay, we need to protect from the weeds also. So how to protect them without harming our main crop, this we have to see. After that, we need to see how to protect our crop off field. Off field means we need to see whether these crops should be used, should be protected in the, how to protect our crop, how to store the grains properly. Okay, and that storage places should be clean, dry. We need to protect from rodents, squirrels, or various types of microorganisms. So these are the three practices we need to see to improve the quality and quantity of the crops. Fine. So one by one we'll see. First we need to see the crop production management, that how this crop can be produced in large quantity. Okay. So here we have the crop management here. So what do you mean by crop production management? Okay, to crop production management we need to see that, yes, this is about this. The crop production management for the controlling the various aspects of crop production, as well as to obtain the maximum best yield. We need to see how to maximize the yield. So we can maximize by using these three types. First, what we need to do, nutrient management. We need to see how to do a nutrient management so that the maximum crops can be grown easily. Irrigation, okay, how to irrigate our crops, how to fulfill the requirement of the water to our crops. And third one is the cropping pattern. Okay, so these are the three important crop production management we need to see. Okay, so by these three components, one by one I will explain you that how they help in the crop production management. Okay, so let's start with the nutrient management. See, we know that nutrients. What do you mean by the nutrient? Nutrient means are those chemicals which is required for the plant for growth and development. So this is important, that how these nutrients are. Nutrients are the chemicals which is needed for the growth and development of plants. So the nutrient management is very important for the crop, because how these are important? How these are important? This is important, as the nutrient management means the controlling the selection, timing and amount of nutrient. This is important, that how the nutrients should, which nutrient should be given, okay, at what time the nutrient should be given, and how much nutrient should be given. So these are the three factors on which nutrient management is depends. Okay, selection means which chemical like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, which nutrient actually the crop needs. Okay, which nutrients having the scarcity in the soil, so that we need to see here. So by this we can select. Next thing is that how the timing will we choose, whether we should put these nutrients or fertilizers or manures at the initial time, or at the during the middle time of the cropping, or before harvesting. We need to see that whether we need to put these nutrients. Okay, and the amount is very important, to select the amount of nutrient. If you use more nutrient, then it will also very harmful for the crop, and if you use less, then it will be useless. Okay, so we need to see this selection, timing and amount. Now how nutrients are supplied? Nutrients are supplied by three ways. What are they? Air, water and soil. Okay, through air we can provide nutrient, through water we can provide, and through soil we can provide these nutrients. Okay, how next is, so we have more than 40 nutrients we are giving to the plants, but out of that 40 nutrients, only 16 are very essential for plant growth and development. Okay, these 16 should be given to the plant, or every plant we can say. Apart from 16, some other nutrients are also important, but they are optional. Okay, they are very selective ones. So these 16 elements are called the essential elements or essential nutrients. How they, this is the table we want to show you, that I told you from air, water and soil. The source is air, water and soil. Now after that, from air, carbon and oxygen. We are getting carbon and oxygen from air. How? Carbon dioxide, oxygen. So here it is the macronutrient. Macro and micro, they are two types of nutrients. We need to classify it. Macro means if those nutrients which are used in a large quantity. Micronutrient means those which are used in a very less quantity. So these are the sum. Okay, water, from water we are getting hydrogen only, because oxygen we are also already got from the air. So this is the hydrogen. This is one macronutrient. From soil, actually from soil, these are some macronutrients. Nitrogen, these are the 6 macronutrients, and 7 micronutrients should be there. 7 micronutrients and 6 macronutrients should be there. So what are they in the soil? Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur need in a large amount of the soil. For example, nitrogen. And in soil, iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum and chlorine. These are the nutrients which is used in a very less quantity. You can't use more than that. If you use, then it will be harmful for the plant. That's why we need these chemicals in a very less amount, and other chemicals, for example, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur in a large amount. Okay, for example, we need carbohydrates for our body. We need carbohydrates in a large amount. We need vitamins and minerals in a very less amount. So carbohydrates we need in a large amount, so that, and protein also in large amount, that should be a macronutrient. And vitamins, minerals, they are in a very less amount. Okay, so after that, what, how this mineral replenishment takes place, this is, we have to understand this, that what do you mean by mineral replenishment? Replenishment means to make up the chemicals whatever are used up. Okay, so soil is very most important reservoir of plant nutrients. Plant nutrients are stored in the soil very, in very better manner. And plants regularly withdraw minerals in the form of nutrients from the soil. They generally get that nutrients from the soil, and after that, unless and until these minerals are replenished at regular intervals, the crop will develop disorder in the structure. If they use that nutrients in large amount, and after that if the plant is not getting that type of nutrients, then there will be a many disorders which is related to the structure, growth, reproduction or functioning of the diseases. It may happen. Okay, so this is very important for the plant, for the soil to get these minerals back. Okay, so we can manage this replacement by using manures and fertilizers. Okay, for example, if you are not getting those food which contain some important ingredients or important nutrients, so we need to see some other supplements. For example, Horlicks, Bournvita we take for our body to get those nutrients. For example, also if the plant is not getting those nutrients from the soil, then they have to depend on others for example, manures and fertilizers. So this is important, how they are getting manures and fertilizers. So in this part we'll see manures and fertilizers. So here we have different manures and fertilizers, how they are. See, the deficiency of plant nutrients and organic matter in soil is made up by adding manures and fertilizers to soil crop fields. Whatever the deficiency of plants and nutrients are there in the crops, this can be managed by adding, either you are adding manures or you are adding some fertilizers. Okay, both manures and fertilizer are the major source of nutrients of the plant, so they are used in the crop production. So all can be easily used and fulfill the type of nutrients whatever they are getting. So this is important. Okay, understood? Now starting with manures. Now we have heard this term earlier, that what do you mean by manures? Actually, manures are the natural fertilizers. They are called the natural fertilizers, and they are bulky. Bulky means we need it in a large source, or organic matter. Very important, of organic matter. They are organic matter which supplies nutrients in small quantity. Okay, and organic matter in large quantity. Fine. So they provide nutrient in very less quantity, means here is some disadvantage of manures, that they provide very less amount of quantity to them, and organic matter in a large quantity. So how they are prepared? They are prepared by decomposing animal excreta and plant waste. Okay, if these excreta, plant waste are converts into those nutrients, then it will be helpful for the plant. So we can classify these manures into four types: farmyard manure, compost, green manure and vermicompost. So these are the 4 types of compost we need to see here. Understood? So one by one we'll see this, how this can be done. So first is the farmyard manure. So what do you mean by the farmyard manure? As you can see in this picture, that here whatever the this is the bed of this farmyard manure. Here what the farmers have done, they they decompose the mixture of cattle excreta like gobar and all, urine, litter as a bedding material used in the night under the cattle, a leftover organic matter such as roughage and fodder. Fodder means those types of crops which is used to eat by the plant, by the animals, which we are going to see them. Okay, now so these are some farmyard manures. So what they do, what they get after after decomposing, after so many days, we can use from the 5 to 6 months. They have to decompose it, they have to spoil it. After that, what they are getting, so what they're getting, a well decomposed farmyard manure contains about 0.5% nitrogen, phosphorus pentoxide P2O5, potassium monoxide. So largely we can see nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Okay, so nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus and potassium. So we can easily fulfill the requirement of the plant of NPK by using the farmyard manure, NPK. Okay, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So by this we can use them properly. Okay, now after that we have the compost. Now what is the compost? What actually it is, the compost is prepared, okay, is prepared from the farm and town refuge, in which what we have to add, we have to add the vegetable, animal refuse, excreta. Okay, which excreta we need to see, cattle, goat, sheep, all. Okay, fecal matter of human beings also we can add here. So here you can see the preparation of compost here. This is the bottom where we have used the bottom of the dead branches and bricks, dead plant material, starting with the dead plant material. After that we put some soil, dead plant material, soil, dead plant material, soil. Like this we need to make them. Okay, so this is the compost which is very useful. Okay, and if you add these compost, in this compost if you add somewhat earthworm, a good quality earthworm, if you put a good quality earthworm in these manures, then it will very useful for us, because this degradation of, sorry, this degradation of organic waste through the consumption of the earthworm is called the vermicomposting. If you use some good quality of earthworm in that, then it will be very useful for us. And earthworm is physically an aerator, crusher and mixture, chemically a degrader and biological stimulator of decomposition. It's a very important definition of earthworm. What they do, they are very good aerator, means providing oxygen. They crushes it, they mixes it with the soil, chemically they degrade, biologically they stimulate, so that they start decomposing. So in India there are various species of earthworms are present. For example, Dicogaster bolani. These are some good quality, and some exotic species are also there. Exotic species mean from outside India. Outside India, there are some red worms, and they are very thick in size. So they have the ability to digest or to degrade more amount of compost. Okay, so that's why we should use them. And actually vermicomposting is a very good method in biological toilets also. So in aeroplanes, in Indian railway also, they are planning to use these worms as a vermicomposting, as a biological toilets. Okay, in that biological toilet, what they have to do, they put these worms into the human excreta, and after that human excreta they convert easily into a good compost. So this is called the vermicomposting. Okay, now after that we have the a green manure. Actually, the green manure are what? This is very important. They including the growing, mulching by plowing, and mixing of the green crops with soil. Actually, they mix the crops with the soil to improve the physical structure and soil fertility. Okay, so this is the figure of they are making a bed of crops with the soil and crops. Okay, that's why they are using this green manure, using the crops also. That's why they are called the green manure. Crop supplies, for example, nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay, organic matter for improving hydration and aeration method, and crumb structure of the soil. So this is important. This is we have to see how they use them. Okay, and they also protection. They get protection from the erosion and leaching process. Okay, so by this we have seen how the manures are. We'll see one by one about the advantage and disadvantage of the manures in our next class. Fine. So in today's class we have seen the different methods, especially the nutrient management, which is very important for the plant, and we have seen about the manure system. Okay, so in next class, get ready for about the fertilizer. We'll complete this fertilizer process, how the fertilizer useful for the plant. Okay, so till then, goodbye.